All right, and we are off. This is the Pumas podcast, episode number 2. This is your Mukbang Monday, brought to you by McDonald's Gillis Plains. I am your host, James Dimopoulos. Cooper Martin's alongside me, and the ever-present Corey Manticos. Cooper, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks yourself, James.
Yeah, not too bad, buddy. Who do we have in the back seat tonight? Special guest.
Special guest, we've got A's player Finn Marshall and B's player Tyson Sturdy.
Boys. G'day, boys.
Good
Pleasure
evening.
to be on the show.
Great to be on here. Big fan.
That's awesome. All right, so I don't think anybody else or anything else needs introductions. Let's get straight into it. Individual player performances, the weekend's results. Do you want to go through the weekend's results?
The weekend's results. We had a loss in the C grade and a win in the B grade. Tyson might want to tell you a little bit more about those.
Tyson?
Yeah, it was a 3-1 win up at Stirling on a very chilly afternoon.
Can I wasn't it 3-2?
No, it was 3-1.
3-1.
They only scored one goal in the first half.
Well, there you go, my graphics wrong on the Instagram account.
So it was 3-1? 3-1?
3-1.
Can confirm it was 3-1.
Yeah.
Goal scorers?
Goal scorers. Who got the
Two to Matt.
2 to Matt and 1 to Alex from nearly halfway.
Excellent. And your take on the team's overall performance?
We started off very well. I reckon the first 20 minutes we dominated the play. Could have had a few chances. Then we conceded by a very scrappy header, which was just chipped Paddy. But I thought we responded well. The team played really well, especially in the second half. We responded, passed well.
Just a quick question. You said Paddy got chipped.
Yes.
How high was he off his goal line?
He was pretty far. He was probably closer to 60-yard ball.
Excellent, Tyson. So, moving on.
Real quick, my graphic was correct on the Instagram account. The 3-2 was actually the loss that the C grade took. So unlucky there, boys, and they'll go again next week, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Hey, bit
brilliant.
of credit to Pat. He did save the first shot.
He did.
Excellent.
He
Good on you,
actually
Paddy.
did, yeah.
Paddy will be a special guest in the coming weeks. So, 3-2-1s for the Bees. We do have the official 3-2-1s. I'll hand you over to Cooper.
All right, so first of all, in the C grade, they had a 3-1 win, as Sturdy said. Our goal scorer is Matt Willissy, 2, and Alex with the 1, as I was told by Coach. as I was told by Coach Julian Regari tonight, who also gave me his 3-2-1s to announce on the show. So you will be hearing the 3-2-1s on the podcast every week before they are announced at training on a Wednesday night, if you're interested in that. So for the B grade on the weekend, 1 vote went to the goal scorer of 1 goal, which was Alex.
He also got yellow card as well.
He also got yellow carded as well. 1 yellow card, 1 goal, 1 point in the Pumas podcast B grade trophy given to us by Julian Regari there.
I believe it's Ruggieri, but...
Sorry, Tone. Sorry, Jules.
Ruggieri we can roll with, but let's just...
We'll roll with Ruggieri then.
Yeah.
Anyway, 2 votes in the B grade. The scorer of 2 goals and the collector of 2 votes, Matt Willissy. Good performance from Matt on the weekend. I think he's been building to a great performance. He's had a few good weeks watching the B grade, playing right back. I know Jai fancies him a bit as well, was using him in the B grade, so it'll be interesting to see if Matt flows between 2 teams or not in the remainder of this year. And 3 votes on the weekend. Congratulations, mate. Tyson Sturdy. And we'll get thoughts from the man himself. 3 votes. How do you feel?
I am actually shocked. I thought I had a reasonable game. I didn't expect the 3 votes, though. I'll take that.
Don't be dirty on yourself.
A modest man, as ever, the dirty man. The sweaty little console, Tyson Sturdy himself.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, I reckon the team deserves the 3 points, definitely. But I'll take that. Wow.
That is a humble response.
Yeah, on you, Tyson. I'm going to say you are milking the microphone a bit, but we will continue on. So, we're going to get on with the A grade now, and unfortunately, Cooper and myself weren't able to make it down there. According to Tyson, it was a bit chilly, but we will hand you over to Corey Manticos. Corey will run through the game, how he felt about the team as a whole. We won't go through individual play performances. We'll leave that for when we actually rock up. So we will go over to Corey now. And Corey, your take on the game, mate.
Yeah, look, it was disappointing from the boys. This was a game we expected to come out and do well and get the 3 points out of, but yeah, second half just let us down.
The result?
What was it, 4-1 in the end, fellas?
Yep.
Yeah, 4-1.
I believe you were 1-0 up at one stage. Finn? Excellent, Finn. So, 3-2-1s. Doesn't sound like it was the best performance by the team. We do have, though, some comments from Coach Jai Tatani. So I'll hand you over to Cooper, who will go through and read these comments out. Cooper.
So we have comments from Jai Tatani, very long comments, so do excuse me if I stutter a few times to make a few errors, because I have got a little bit of an essay here. Corey Jai's given us some very in-depth detail on what happened in the game on the weekend, so we thank him for that. Coach Tatani has said, it was a tale of two halves, really. We set out to start strong and press, which we did, and we looked dangerous, creating multiple chances throughout the first half. We took the lead with some great passing and movement on and off the ball, but once it was scored, it felt like that was it. Sterling, take nothing away from them. They looked hungry going down by 0 and tied it up quickly. Going into half-time, we still looked really positive and still looked like we wanted to win the game. Something seemed to happen after half-time. It felt like we were the slower team from the get-go. Mentally, we were slipping, and Sterling continued to cause us dramas. They got their second with a team-wide lapse of concentration, and I think that sealed it for them. To concede the way we did when we knew it was a must-win would have hurt every player on the field busting their ass. I give credit to the guys. They kept pushing to get back into the game, and we did create multiple chances to get us back into it, but it just didn't go with us. Currently, I believe for 45 minutes, we are mentally there and strong, and for about 80 minutes, we are fit enough. But that won't win you games. We have a few weeks to really come together and work on a multitude of things to prepare us for the remainder of the season. We just have to play our game over individual performances, and results will come. We will gel and mould together as one cohesive unit. Great words there from Coach Jai Tatani, I think. I obviously wasn't at the game, but in terms of a club perspective, agree with most things he was saying there. Dim, thoughts on that?
I think it was well said. I think the team eventually will gel together, but it's going to take time. And obviously now they're under new management. That's always a struggle for the players and for the coach, especially when the coach is taking over halfway through the year almost. But I think over time, give it maybe a month or so, and the team will start noticing that these big gaps that they're seeing on the field, whether it's play-by-play or result-wise, they'll start to diminish, and they'll start cutting those gaps. So I think that was really well said by Coach Jai Tatani, and this team is obviously moving in a positive direction, and that's what we want to see. Moving on.
On.
To the 3-2-1s.
With the 3-2-1s, obviously might have spilled the beans a little bit talking about the B grade, but a decision has been made by the two co-hosts / the guys running the podcast, the Pumas podcast panel, as we liking to call ourselves a bit at the moment. We've made a decision that with the 3-2-1s this year, every guest and obviously myself, Dim, plus the coaches' 3-2-1s will be added together every week, and we are looking to incorporate a Pumas Podcast Player of the Year award to give away at the end of season presentations. So these 3-2-1s from all of us don't just mean anything. Obviously this week Dim and I can't give a 3-2-1 because we weren't present at the game, but we will add Coach Jai Tatani's 3-2-1s in as our own 3-2-1s this week. We'll trust his measure, and we'll do the same with the B grade award with Julian Ruggieri, as I've been told. So 1, 2, 3 in the A grade. 1 vote, Captain Shane Winter. 2 votes, centre half Daniel Love, and 3 votes, goal scorer Ryan Mozzie Thurston. Obviously no comments from me and Dim on that, unfortunately, because we weren't at the game, but we'll get a 3-2-1 and a couple of comments from all 3 players in the back. So we'll start with Corey. 3-2-1 from you.
I reckon Marcus had a good game. I reckon I'd give him 1. I reckon Ryan was a big impact on the wings, so he probably takes him a second. And, probably D-Love at the back. He looked very strong out there.
So that was Marcus DeMarco, 1 vote, Ryan Mozzie Thurston, 2 votes, and Daniel Love, 3 votes from Corey there. Sturdy, your 1, 2, 3s.
1 vote to Ryan. I thought he had a really good game for the first half and was a bit quiet in the second. 2 votes to Marcus. I reckon he had a full 9 minutes. He played really well. 3 votes to D-Love. I reckon he was very solid at the back.
There we go. Votes from Sturdy there. And 1, 2, 3 from Finn.
Again, 3 of the same players, but different order. I'm going Marcus with the 3 points. I reckon he's very dangerous in the wing. Every game we play. 2 votes to Ryan. He got the goal and played a great game throughout. Very solid. And then 1 vote to D-Love, very strong at the back.
No worries. Thanks for that, Finn. We will throw back to Dimo.
So that's the seconds and the first summed up. We will now move on to our injury reports. I've got a bit of a list here.
It is a bit of a list, isn't it?
And we're going to start off with D-Love, his heel. Has anybody... This is news to me because this is a bloke that doesn't train. So I'm wondering what weight he's carrying on those tiny incy-wincy heels outside at work or something.
This news leak that managed to put D-Love and his heel on our injury report list this week came from Corey Manticos, who's in the backseat of the car.
Corey,
so
his...
through to him.
Oh, yeah. Yes, this was found out during the game.
You were quoted saying that it has been a persistent injury?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, he was just, like, telling Jai to warm up Brett and stuff, and he was just telling me that his heel's been hurting for a long time, so...
According to the 3-2-1s, though, it sounds like the only injury he's carrying is the whole team. So, D-Love, we hope you get better, mate. Let's move on to Chris Giro. Now, I think Chris Giro is worth mentioning because he's gone through all grades
And
so
he's a
far.
club man as well. He does a lot. He does a lot for the Pumas.
He's a club man. But he has gone through every grade. Now with the A's or the firsts becoming more cemented as a unit, we have seen him slip to the seconds and the thirds. But most of the time now he's spending with George Poz, the C's coach, who we also don't see at trainings. So it'd be good to see the C grade come out and actually train as a unit, and maybe we'll begin to see their results turn around. So, talking about Chris, he's had an ankle injury from the weekend's game. Apparently, or supposedly, this player that placed the tackle got all ball, but if you look at the photos, that doesn't seem like the case. Nonetheless, C graders of
We might have a comment on that from Tyson. Steve.
Yeah,
He played in the
Tyson.
same game.
Which game? The UFC Lions.
Oh, sorry, you weren't there.
No,
Chris
I-
played in the C grade, not the B grade on the weekend. Don't mind me.
sorry Tyson, there's a direct correlation between you and the C's sometimes, so.
I haven't seen the injury myself, so I can't really say comment at the moment about it. But yeah, it's a bit unlucky for Chris. He's been playing really well, training
He
well.
has, yeah.
Just very unlucky at the moment.
And there's no comment from yourself on the correlation between you and the C grade?
No comment at the moment. I'm doing the club thing. If I'm playing C's, that's fine. If I'm playing B's, that's fine. We'll do it on the club.
On your sturds.
You're a fantastic
You're
player,
unbelievable,
fantastic
sturdy.
man, Sturds.
We move down to Robbie Antonelli.
Another
Now
C
this is
grader.
this is
Jeez, there's some injuries amongst that C grade group at the moment, isn't there?
there is Robbie Antonelli. He's had a multitude or a range of injuries, I'd say. He's gone from his back to, I think, his calf muscle. So he's had a fair few injuries. I think lately he has been complaining of a back injury.
He's pulled a few heartstrings too, I think, Rob.
Yeah, I think he has. We're not too sure. We'll have to get a comment on Rob's injury or current injury. But at the moment, from what I've been told, it's his back that's causing most of the problems. But moving on, Tony Centrella, groin injury, still hasn't rocked up to training. Obviously, he's still nursing that injury.
His skinnier brother did rock up to training tonight,
Yes,
though.
Taraz.
Raz, yeah.
So we're going to have to get another update on Tony's groin.
It's weird seeing Tony not at training.
It is weird not seeing Tony at training.
Altitude mask.
Tony was at the game on Saturday. He ran the lines for the first half in the A's.
Just real quick, you've got a little bit of Caesar mayo in that fantastic beard of yours.
No worries. So, all right. So we get on to the most important injury update of the night. Scotty Winter. Now, I did see Scott get attended to by Kelly at training last week. He is complaining of an injury to the shin. He does, in my eyes, and I'm no physiotherapist, so we might...
Oh, we know you've had an appearance or two in the trainer's vest when Kelly's let the club down before. But...
Yep. Shin splints, I'm calling it. Scotty is a little bit embarrassed of the fact that he has shin splints at his age. But Scotty, it does happen, mate, and I'd just take it with a grain of salt, and you'll come back stronger. Cooper?
Well, last week it was spraining and pouring, wasn't it? I'm not sure what's going on this week, but he's not too happy about it by the sounds of things. So I think Scotty just needs to get his body right, otherwise he's going to have nothing left.
Those bones are brittle. So that's your injury update. So at the moment, just to sum it up, we've got D-Love with his heel injury, Chris Giro with an ankle injury, Robbie Antonelli with ongoing back and calf problems, Tony Centrella with a groin injury, and Scotty Winter with 2 sprained wrists and a shin splint. So let's move on to the more important news, the important stories, should I say. Transfer news. Big ones.
We haven't had 2 transfers this week, Dim, haven't we? We've had 1 player acquired and 1 player released, and might I just add before I let you talk that he was released on his own accord. It was a decision of his own with ongoing events of the club. He decided that he did want to play elsewhere.
Who are we talking about here?
It's Adam Chatterton. Was Andrew Brook the first team coach? Obviously, that has now moved on.
Andrew Brook's best mate.
Yeah, he was the assistant coach in the first team. He played some... He was never present in the first team squad, and when Tatani took over, he dropped down into the seconds with Lewis, and he played a fantastic game. He did get a vote in the seconds last week, I do believe. So from a club perspective, it's sad to see him go, and we wish him all the best in the future with wherever he does decide to play his football.
Well said, Cooper. Adam was the assistant coach, I believe, of the first team. Played every game, but last week
he played in the B grade.
he played in the B
He
grade.
has been suffering an injury as well.
Let's go to the boys in the back, because I believe, Tyson, you played seconds last week, and Finn as well as Corey have played alongside Adam every game. Boys?
It's disappointing he's left the club, but he has his reasons why, so I can't really say much more. But he was a great player.
He was a good bloke.
Yeah.
On and off the pitch, but his pace sometimes lacked in those areas. But yeah, he did his best, and he was a great assistant manager for when he did.
Yeah, he was a good leader out in the park.
So, Adam Chatterton gone. Andres Moreno, acquired from West Beach.
I'm going to go with
Now,
Andres Moreno. But
All right, we'll go Andres Moreno,
I believe West Beach Soccer Club.
the soccer club.
It does
Okay.
exist. We beat them in the cup last year, not convincingly. Their goalkeeper looks like a pirate. That's about it.
So we haven't really seen much of Moreno yet. I'm sure over the coming weeks we will get more of an insight as per his ability and knowledge of the game. We have seen him at a few trainings. He does look sharp, but to me it looks like he will have a stint in the seconds, maybe possibly the thirds for a little bit.
Yeah, I think, as most players do at the Pumas, if they don't come in... I mean, Andres has come in the group he's trained, and he's made a massive impact, but I haven't seen him train with Coach Jai Tatani in the first team yet, so chances are he will be finding himself in the seconds for at least a week or 2. There is a chance he might find himself with Coach George Poz in the thirds in his first couple of weeks, but as it currently stands, I'd honestly be surprised if George Poz knew he existed, because he isn't often at training.
You're not wrong there. George, if you're listening, mate, get back out there. The C's need you. I've heard it from the boys that they are interested in training. That's what they signed up for, so it'd be good to see you out there, mate. Let's move on now. That is your transfer news. I'm sure there'll be much more in the coming weeks. Our sponsor shout-out. This week's sponsor shout-out is Lupa Maintenance Services. For all your solid plastering and general maintenance needs, with 40 years of experience, contact Paolo Antonelli from Lupa Maintenance Services. We might not put his mobile number on this podcast, just to begin with, because we do know that there are a few people out there that may take the mickey. But Lupa Maintenance Services, I've personally had experience with them. Great company. They know what they're doing. Cooper?
Again, if you want to find Lupa Maintenance Services, just look them up on Google, and they will be the first website that comes up under adelaide-plastering.wixsite.com/Lupa.
Paolo Antonelli, he is a great man, and he knows how to cook. So
Indeed he does.
he does. All right. We have a new segment for tonight. It's called Angry Pete. Angry Pete is a segment... Angry Pete is a segment by which we discuss things that have really been ticking us off, whether it's Pumas related or just general news, something that's really been annoying us. Cooper, I'm going to let you introduce this week's Angry Pete. Who's it got to do with?
The Angry Pete this week, which is a segment that will be done by Dimo, perhaps introduced by me, but done by Dimo, because I'm not known to fire up and don't really have the voice for it. I'm pretty monotone, I've heard, but this week we had a bit of an issue with some of the officiating in the B grade and the A grade, and it wasn't centre refs, it wasn't Sassel refs, it was the fizzy linesman, Dim.
Mate.
I don't know what the fizzy linesman was doing on the weekend, but whoever gave him a flag needs to take it off him, because by God, Dim.
I don't know who you are or where you think that you've acquired these skills from, mate, but I don't want to go Liam Neeson or anything on this guy, but you are a shocker. That was appalling. It was a disgrace.
Just keep your arm down, mate.
His flag was raised constantly.
Constantly.
I mean, he wasn't even keeping up with the game.
No, he wasn't. He had no idea what he was doing. He had more than a conversation. Lewis Cardinale told him that he had nice work boots. He ended up 400 metres behind the play. So if Lewis could shut his mouth and let the linesman do his job, but I don't think it would have made too much difference with this bloke. By God, he had no idea what he was doing. And he cost us an equaliser. In fact, at the moment in the B grade, it would have put us in front. Sam Dallanagara scored the goal of his life, and he's had it taken away from him. And if anyone listening to the podcast knows Sam, you don't understand
He loves a goal.
You don't know what this linesman's done to our club, because we will never hear the end of this from Sam.
What I want to know is, did this bloke put his hands up when Fizzy said that they needed a linesman? Did he go, yep, I'll do it, I know how to do it? Or did they choose him? Did they allocate him randomly? Because this is a shocker. This needs to be addressed, possibly even investigated. Because I don't want to personally play for amateur soccer, or I don't want to personally play amateur soccer if this guy is going to be a linesman again.
The cogs in the system weren't ticking properly, Dim.
No,
You
not
know
at
that
all.
much.
Not at all. And it's infuriating. And we know Pete wouldn't be happy. All right. Tyson, were you out there playing while this man was running the line?
Yes, I was.
Your thoughts?
He was shocking.
Yeah.
Absolute shocking. I will make a note for the A's game, though. I was sitting on the bench for the first half. He actually gave us a goal because he wanted the ball back on the line for the corner. We retook the kick. We scored from it from the header.
That was true. I did see that as well.
But he was just
All right, so we might leave that there. That's Angry Pete. That'll be a weekly segment now. No. We might move on to the Pumas Mailbag.
The Pumas Mailbag. I think
Pumas
it's time,
Mailbag.
James, the new segment, the Pumas Mailbag.
I'm
excited. I don't know if you're excited, but I am excited.
I'm also excited. This is the best segment, I reckon. I think this is the best segment of the whole podcast.
I think this is the best segment we've ever had. It might be episode 2, but there's no topping this for a long time.
Yeah.
The only way we can top this is Brett Chatterton in the back of the car. It's a call out to you, Brett Chatterton. We are looking for a special guest. We'll make sure to only have 2 people so you fit in the back of the car. We might get Finn's missus to pick him up because she likes doing that.
All right, so Pumas Mailbag. This is where, and these are legitimate letters that have been sent in from members of the public, completely Puma related. So I think we'll start with Cooper. Yep, we'll start with Cooper. Cooper, you're going to take the first letter, mate.
We might have to ask for some comments from the players in the back listening to some of these letters. The first letter we have got, guys, Kathy from Burnside writes, Dear Pumas, I've been a long-time fan of the Pumas for some 15 years now and have attended most home games. I'd just like to take this opportunity to address the great job performed by those tasked with the tongs each and every week. It would be nice to show those involved a little bit of gratitude. Boys, what do we think about the guys cooking the chicken, serving the beers, doing everything for the club in the barbecue each week?
On your Marzi.
I do believe there are more blokes than Marzi that run the system, because I've seen Marzi referee and it would not be a smooth sailing ship if it was just him. But we do thank him for himself.
No, they look after us very well.
Do a lot of work that we don't see. But yeah, chicken wings are on point.
Very good, boys. And thoughts on their choice of ton beer for your free beers after the game?
They are terrible.
They are.
Not too bad. I've had worse though.
We know you have, Sturdy. We know you have, mate.
Of course.
On to Dimo with the next letter.
All right. Samuel from Gawler writes, to the Pumas podcast panel, as an avid Pumas fan, this year's roller coaster has had no shortage of ups and downs, and boy, oh boy, has it been a ride. That being said, if you boys had the opportunity to change 3 things about the club collectively, what would they be? That is an excellent question, Samuel. Thanks for sending that in, mate.
It's an excellent question, Samuel, and we have 3 guests in the back of the car, so I reckon we might get one reason or one thing from each guest that they'd like to change around the club. We'll start with Corey, because he's looking at me like he's got no idea what he wants to change, so I'm going to put him on the spot.
Long sleeve kits.
Long sleeve kits. There we go. If you've heard it here first, Scott Winter, get around it. You might not be able to roll them up over your wrists, but most people can. So
You might not get the kits until 2023, but
that's a controversial subject. Moving on to Dirty Sturdy himself. What would you change around the club? And don't say your nicknames.
Damn. Probably more club events. I've just been probably very lucky this year.
Sturdy wants more reasons to drink. We've got to hear first.
Maybe not a direct Pumas problem, but definitely we've got to talk to the council about the pitches and the sandpit and the bogs that are very
the cricket
common in the both pitches.
They've got to improve on that. There was an incident where they turned the sprinklers on game day in the morning, and they didn't turn off until the afternoon.
And the game got cancelled. We flooded the pitch. Not good enough from the council there. Not sure who the local council are.
I mean, I don't want to get political, but I feel like there's about 70-odd councils in South Australia.
When Dimopoulos says he doesn't want to get political, it is code for I want to get political. Spread your ears out.
There's 70 councils, or 70-odd councils in South Australia, right?
We might have 2 more changes, because I know I've got one, and Dim is one of the most opinionated people I know, so I'm sure he's got 14, but we might just ask him for one of those at the moment.
I just think that there should be some sort of club rule laid down before the season starts that if players want to play, they attend trainings. Because enough's enough of being too lenient on, you can attend on a Wednesday or you can attend on a Monday. I understand it's amateurs, right? But at least rock up to one training and let the coaches know, okay, I'm not going to attend on Monday, I'll attend on Wednesday. That's fine. It's amateur soccer. People have jobs.
We've lost a game we probably shouldn't have on the weekend, Dim. I'm aware I wasn't at it, but I've been told by multiple sources that it was a winnable game. Sterling were a beatable side, and the fact that we've had such a disappointing result, there should be more people than what we saw tonight that want to rectify it. I think I could be wrong, but 18 at training tonight and only 8 that trained with the first team.
Completely agree. And with the new coaching staff, Jai Tatani, Jules Ruggieri,
Lewis Cardinale, George Poss.
Enjoy your trip away, mate. They are setting up amazing training sessions, right? The boys are going to be on their toes and they're going to be put to their absolute paces throughout the entire training. But it's disappointing when we're just not getting the numbers. I think it'll come back in time, right? Now with the new coaching staff and whatnot. But let's change that now. Let's change that starting from this week even.
Agreed. It'd be great to see some more out on Wednesday night. And one thing I'd change myself, I'd just like to see a little bit more Pumas branding around Thomas Turner Reserves, perhaps some impermanent signs. I know we don't own the ground, but Thomas Turner Reserve, it needs to be a blue and white fortress. I mean, it's not Thomas Turner Reserve on a Saturday home game, it's Puma Park, and I think the teams that show up to play us need to know that it's not a neutral ground, it's our home and not theirs, and they've come for a fight, and they're going to get one.
Yeah, I completely agree. Brilliant.
Moving on to the third letter in the mailbag. I believe I'll be reading this one out. And Michael from Tranmere writes, to the Pumas podcast panel, I recently visited Isaac at KFC in Modbury to treat my family to some of the Colonel's finest chicken. However, much to my dismay, the promo code given on last week's podcast, Pumas10, was in fact not valid, and as a result, I was made to pay full price. Could you please explain yourselves?
Look,
thoughts on that, Dim?
Look, Michael, I'm not too sure how that letter actually got through or slipped through the cracks. Nonetheless, it's on the show. Now we have to address it. Yeah, look, we will have to rectify that. And I do believe that Cooper, you do receive discount at KFC, so I don't want to be all Leon Biner or anything, but we'll get in touch. We'll call you after the show. We'll sort something out.
And just for more to make up for that this week, if you do want to bring your family down to Macca's at Gillis Plains, Ronald 10 will get you a nice discount from the staff.
Cooper, can you promise Michael that you will, in fact, give him the discount?
Stay home and make burgers, Michael. Stay home and make burgers. Anyway, we've got one last letter sent into the Pumas podcast this week, and by far my favourite. Dim will be reading this one out.
Well, I'm not too sure how it's your favourite. You haven't read it yet. But anyway, Edward from Holden Hill writes, to the Adelaide Pumas, as you may already know from my location, I am considered a local. Being a local, I occasionally attend Pumas home games at Thomas Turner Reserve. Oh, excellent, Edward. Good on you, mate. Over the past few home games, I've been fortunate enough to strike up a few conversations with the canteen manager, Lewis. Not too sure where he got that.
Not sure
Why
he thinks
where he got that
Lewis is
title.
in charge of the canteen, but anyway, moving on.
After watching Mexican boxing heavyweight Andy Ruiz stun the world with his incredible TKO of Anthony Joshua on the weekend, I was wondering if Lewis has ever considered a boxing career of his own. He seems to be in perfect shape.
Oh, no.
Well, if Andy Ruiz is anything to go by, Lewis is probably the best heavyweight boxer I've ever met, James.
I think all those who have attended the gym so far, Tony Centrella, I think they're kicking themselves.
Brett Chadlin doesn't know what's coming for him, does
Absolutely not. You've got your Cardinales.
Cooper Martins.
You've got your Cooper Martins. All capable now.
Previously knocked out Lewis Cardinale.
Previously put Lewis
Can we-
Cardinale in a choker
We
hold,
should bring that up.
and he did tap, didn't he? Did Lewis tap?
Lewis did in fact tap.
Well, there we have it first. He might have also broken a blood vessel
look-
in my nose,
look,
but we
Cooper-
won't go there.
Cooper may have won the battle, but I don't think he won the war. because
Definitely did not win
he
the
did
war.
have ongoing blood vessel issues in the nose.
32 consecutive days worth of blood noses, in fact. So, as we like to call him here at the Pumas podcast, Kuas Lardinale, he could in fact look into a heavyweight boxing career.
Can I just add that sounds like a clot of blood coming from your nose?
It indeed was a clot of blood, and Jai Tatani's vomit will attest to that. Any thoughts on Lewis's boxing career, fellas?
Can I just add, Edward?
Excellent, boys. Well done, Edward.
Can I just add, Edward, mate? Once again, I'm not too sure how that slipped through the cracks.
I am.
But well observed, mate. Because
Fantastic. I mean,
we all thought Andy Ruiz
I'm
had
not.
no chance.
I'm not sure about the credibility of this guy. What's his name again? Edward. I'm not sure about Edward's credibility because I know myself that once I'd struck up one conversation with Lewis, I didn't go looking for more. So,
I mean, what's more absurd, though? The fact that... Is it more absurd that he's mentioned that he could possibly start a boxing career or that he's the canteen manager? I think it's the canteen manager's the more outrageous or outlandish comment.
yeah, well, I just think looking at Ruiz and looking at Cardinale, if body figure's got anything to do with it, Lewis is on the card. So it's just really, really well observed by him.
They're both taco delivery drivers, in my opinion. That brings us to the end of the mailbag. It was a good mailbag.
It was a fantastic
Can't wait
mailbag.
for next week.
If anyone would like to send anything into the mailbag, the email address is pumaspodcast@outlook.com.
Pumaspodcast@outlook.com. All right, that's the mailbag. Boys, what do you think of that as a segment?
It's a great segment. Keen for next week.
No, I enjoyed it.
Here's the best segment yet.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty good. This brings us to the next segment, which is question time with our special guests. So, in this case, question time with Tyson Sturdy and Finn Marshall.
One interview each. Whose would you like to do? So, which interview would you like to do, Dim?
I
personally think it would be very interesting if you did Finn's, because I know there's been a little bit of tension between the two of you before. I wouldn't mind seeing that spark up again for a bit of entertainment.
Yeah, look, it's been aggressive tension, sometimes sexual, but nonetheless, there has been tension there. So I'll let you kick things off with Tyson. I've got those questions down here. All you have to do is read.
Sounds good to me. So, Sturds, mate, 3 votes in the Bs this week. You tackled that challenge, but this is a whole different ball game, so prepare yourself. Tyson, who is the sports icon that has influenced you the most?
Steven Gerrard.
And why is that?
He was probably one of the first players I started watching as a young person, or young child, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, scored absolute banging goal against West Ham in the FA Cup final about 2005, 6. No, I've just loved watching him play. He's a fantastic footballer.
Tyson, just out of curiosity, I'm sure many people out there want to know, how old are you, mate?
23. But again, I get told like I'm 35 by Cooper himself.
Indeed you do. 23 and the rest, if you ask me. Anyway, moving on. I know I was a young kid when Steven Gerrard was in his prime, so if I was a young kid, Sturdy definitely wasn't.
Well said.
Question number 2. What drives you to get up and drive down to Thomas Turner Reserve 2, possibly 3 times a week?
I just enjoyed being around the club, being around the lads. I enjoy my time. So this is my first year at Pumas, so the club's welcomed me into open arms, and I'm enjoying it.
And who was the player that convinced you to? Who was the member of the club that said to you, "Oh, why don't you come down to the Pumas, Sturts? We'll look after you."
There was 3, but Cooper Martin was the first one.
There you go. I was the first one. So to anyone listening involved with the Pumas, I do apologise. That was a very rash decision by myself. Question number 3. You're a new addition to the crayon box. What colour are you and why? This was not intended to be racist. Dimo wrote these questions.
Red.
And why are you red?
I'm a pretty angry person. I do get red in the face a lot. Or I get hit in the face by a ball, one or two.
Well, that was a trick question. The correct answer, and the only correct answer, was blue, so get the out of the car.
He is a member of the Red Army, I presume.
He's a member of the Red Army, as am I. Very good. 4. Who has the most annoying habit at the club? Be very careful with how you answer this question.
He's going to kill me for this Jai.
Oh,
interesting. Someone has
I'm not been training with the A's yet.
Someone has no aspiration to play first team football this season. So what does Jai do that annoys you?
No, I just want to have an opportunity to train with the A's, but that's his decision, not mine.
and you'd call that a bad habit? For not selecting you for training for the A's?
That's his decision, not mine. I just find it annoying, but that's just me.
So you're saying that is essentially a behavioural problem of Jai's that needs to be addressed? That you're not training with the A's?
Can we just cut this one?
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your That's Amore question of the week. Is 3 votes in the B grade to Tyson Sturdy enough to put the pressure on first team coach Jai Tatani to give him perhaps some minutes off the bench in the first team this week? We know Jai doesn't handle pressure very well at the best of times. I've seen him try and clutch some games on Fortnite, and it doesn't often happen. So your thoughts on the pressure that might pile onto him to give Sturdy a run in the first this week?
I think there's definitely a possible substitution in the 87th minute.
Past a Finn, Sturdy being as versatile, are you worried that you aren't the most creative player in the first team if Tyson does come into the fray?
Yeah, look, I haven't watched Sturdy play too much, but we'll see what happens if he gets some time in the park. We might link up a bit, create some chances between ourselves. So.
Thoughts on linking up with Marshall in the first team, Sturds? He nodded his head. Excellent.
Can I just say that, Sturds, if you want to link up with Finn, you better make it within the first 15-20, mate, because after that, he's gone.
Otherwise, Finn will get taken off the pitch. Mentally by Dim. We're in his head here at the Pumas podcast. We do apologise for that. Finn, I'm going to, without having watched the game, say you were good for 70 minutes on the weekend, because as far as I've heard, we said you were good for 20 and you matched that performance this weekend. So, anyway, moving on. Finn had a good game. There you heard it first from Tyson Sturdy. Not a credible source. Yeah. Question number 5 and the final question for you is, he just took a stab at me and I might stab him if he's not careful, but
he took a stab at both of them.
he said, at least I attended is what came out of his mouth, James.
I just got to say, I don't currently play at the Pumas.
Yeah, I know that.
But I do attend more than players themselves.
Tyson, you haven't missed a training session this season, a trial game or a normal game, and I have 3 more first team minutes than you this year. How does that make you feel?
Third best keeper last year.
Yeah. I know, Daniel. I know. I am aware that Daniel Chumper listens to this podcast, so shout out to him. Not sure how you got my spot last year, but we'll let you have it. Salisbury Villa C grade, lucky to have you. Question number 5, the last question for Sturdy. Should we introduce light sour cream and sweet chili sauce as a condiment for our chicken rolls in the future?
Definitely, yes.
I agree with that. I mean, I wrote the question, so...
Any other thoughts on the sauce at the club, boys?
Excellent.
Finn's been a broke boy for a long time, so now he's got a job. He might start tasting some of our chicken.
I haven't tried any of the sauces at the club, but yeah.
Well,
Got some money in the bank, so...
You won't last without
Well, if
spirit,
you've tried tomato, you've tried them all, so...
Moving on to Finn's interview, and I have noticed that Finn is spelt with one N on the script, but it is indeed with two, James.
No, it is with one N until he earns my respect.
Well, there we go.
So, first and foremost, Finn, what has it been like transitioning from the NPL to the Amateur League?
Yeah,
Just a statement there first. Finn never actually played an NPL minute. He was always in the second division. Anyway, moving on.
Well, thanks for that, Cooper. But yeah, it's been a bit of a change, but, it's a great bunch of lads out at the Pumas and the community's really strong. But yeah, it's a bit less stressful and, I'm enjoying it, so keen for the rest of the year.
With the quality dropping from ex-Adelaide United player Dylan Smith to the high standards of Pumas B-grade fullback Tyson Sturdy, how has that impacted your form?
So I'm just going to interrupt here because it seems as though, Cooper, you're not taking this criticism well.
No, I don't handle that well. Look,
Just let it go. All right. Finn.
Yep.
Second question. What's the current dressing room morale like in the firsts? We know that...
we haven't got a single point in the league, so it can't be easy to be in that dressing room at all times.
The lads do their best every week and, things will start to gel and, the changing rooms are getting better. We've added the beats before the game, bit of jazz, bit of 80s hits,
Who's in charge of that?
Well, last week it was Lawrence Chan. I don't know what...
Terrible song selections.
Terrible song selections.
What kind of songs did he play? I bet they were mostly Pitbull.
Actually, the first song was a bit of a Drake, bit of Jumpman, but
After that, it went downhill.
Yeah,
David Guetta.
started to get a word, and those song selections kept on going downhill. But yeah,
Great.
Also, just real quick, Sturdy made a comment about a lot of salt coming from my direction at the moment. I can confirm there is no salt from me, and indeed there is as much salt from me as there is hair on Sturdy's apparently 23-year-old head. So,
You know damn well why I shaved his head, though.
In fact, he shaved his head for a good cause.
He did.
How do you feel now?
so you're rattling in.
well, the shaving of the head I was present for, and it took about 45 seconds. But
Look, this is-
it's wonderful that you
I was
donated
going to
that
say
much money to
46
charity.
seconds, but alright.
So
we'll
this is-
give him
yep.
46 seconds.
All right,
I'll
let's
wait for the
continue on here.
Thank you.
Which Puma player is most likely to look in the mirror? Now that I'm gone, who takes that spot?
video. Are they in this car? Are they both in this car?
The Bieber fever, I reckon. He takes the spot.
And who is that?
Mr. Corey Manticos.
Corey? These allegations?
Look, I'll take it.
No, good on you, Corey. You're a good-looking rooster, mate, and I'd look in the mirror as well.
We have heard from Coach Tani that he gets training at 5:43 and is still the last man on the track. So,
Question number 4. Which Puma player would be the last person you would use as a phone a friend?
Wow, is that in all grades?
in all grades.
In all grades.
I think you've got someone
Wow.
in mind.
Yeah.
I've got someone in mind.
I do too.
We might go round the car with this one, in fact, because we could have some very interesting answers here.
I reckon phone a friend could be that I'd least like to call up might be sitting right next to me with a big beard and the beanie on.
Thoughts on that, Sturds?
Fair point.
And Tyson?
Probably Finn actually himself.
Not a lot.
Is there a history between you two boys at all?
No.
A sexual history.
No.
Not
Maybe.
a lot of life experience from Finn. Is that the reason that we're going with I wouldn't phone friend? Or
I mean, you wouldn't... I mean,
Nah,
financially,
personally,
he's only
yeah.
just started his first gig. Congratulations, Finn. And so obviously you wouldn't ask for money.
I'd just like to add to that.
Just for advice, maybe.
And what? Like,
Corey, who would you...
I don't know.
He might say Finn again.
Yeah, no, I'd probably say Fig.
Yeah, this is odd. I've got to say this is odd. Finn, I'm questioning your character right now. These boys wouldn't call you up as a last resort.
If I had to call Finn, if someone held a gun to my head and said, call someone, if they don't answer, I'll shoot you, I wouldn't call Finn just in case his missus had taken his phone away from him. That might be my concern.
Cooper? I think great minds think alike here. And I think there's someone you're thinking about.
But we could be incorrect here. There's two people on my mind at the moment. He plays in the first team, the guy that I'm thinking of. I'm not sure if that correlates to you.
Not so much.
I had Luis Cardinale in mind. He was the last person I'd call. Probably the second last person I'd call would be George Poss.
Yep.
But the person I'd least like to call, and this purely comes from the last week and a half, seeing how much time he does spend active on his Xbox, is Daniel Love. There's not a lot between the ears with that bloke, and I probably wouldn't call him for advice.
Oh, jeez. That's pretty good.
All right, Dim, who do you think is the last person you'd call?
Last person I'd call, if we're going to stick to inside the car here for now, I'd probably go Sturdy. He did the dirty on me when we invited him over for beers.
He did. We invited him over for beers. I Deso drove. I bought the beers. I took one for the team, and Sturdy never rocked up, and it broke my heart. It really did.
Never called me back.
Never.
Didn't want to.
Had his number.
Had no interest.
Had to go home. Mum called him.
Reason, Sturdy?
No comment.
No comment.
See, that's just poor. Dogging the boys. Letting the team down.
That's a fair point. I'll shout next round.
He'll shout the next round. There we go. Sturdy's now the first person I'd call, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. Question number 5. What's your verdict on ton beer, Finn? Should we improve the quality of our post-game beverages? Now, I do know that these post-game beverages, ton beer, go for $34 a carton. That equates to... you're getting 30 cans, so that equates to $1.13 a beer.
I also know that these cans actually aren't 375ml. I believe they're only 250s.
Finn?
I wouldn't call myself a great beer drinker, but I had a sip of a ton beer and it wasn't the best.
Yeah, I'm sure it tasted like shrapnel to the neck.
And boys, we've got a suggestion from each of you as well, with your comment of what beer we could look to buy. I know there is a bit of super dry around the club, but...
I mean, no one's watching their weight, so we wouldn't need to drink low-carb beer.
No need for low-carb beer, and if I wanted water, I'd just get it out the tap, to be honest.
If I wanted to swallow shards of glass, then I'd go straight to it. So, Sturdy?
I drank a lot of Harlequins, so Harlequins for me.
Is that because of the UEFA Champions League, Sturdy? I feel like that moulds most of your life. Soccer really moulds most of your life.
It's true.
Speaking of the UEFA Champions League, Sturdy, we had a good night the other night, didn't we?
I don't remember anything.
Were there any special guests, Sturdy?
At the thing, there was a few from the Red Army, so...
No girl involved.
Did you bring anyone with you, Sturdy?
No comment.
No comment?
Very reserved, Sturdy. Is this the last time you'll be sitting in the back seat?
No.
Brilliant. There we go.
Corey?
What's this about?
The beer. Do you ever listen?
No.
You seem to be zoning off.
Looking in the mirror.
Yeah, you were zoning off last week, and you're zoning off this week again.
And we now know why he gets dropped to the B grade for attitude reasons.
Oh, that awkward silence.
There was always silence. It's Corey.
That was terrible.
I
just go
love
with
that attitude.
I just go with some Coronas.
Coronitas.
That's pretty expensive, though, Corey.
Yeah, well, we never set a price limit, did we?
I mean, Heineken is also up there.
If I asked Scotty Winter what kind of beer he wanted behind the bar,
He'd say Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
it's a better answer than that. But
Pull your head in, Scott. We're not getting a straight answer from anyone here.
we're getting a straight.
Do you
face
think the
from
ton
him, though.
beers should be changed?
Yes, to super dry.
I agree there. Or pure blondes.
Pure blondes. We said we don't need low carb beer. Let's just get some sparkling ale and get.
That wraps us up tonight. Thanks to the boys in the back. Excellent guests as always. Cooper.
Yeah, thanks to the boys in the back. Fantastic night for me. Very, very happy with our special guests. Corey's here, as he just said. Corey's here for a way to get home, and also because he edits the videos. Thanks for your attendance, Corey.
Cheers, mate.
And Finn and Sturds. Finn, thanks for being on the show. Expect to hear from Finn a fair bit because he's another one that can't drive and needs a way home. Finn?
Yeah, I need a lift. That's why I'm here. But, podcast is great and keen for more.
Thank you very much. And Sturdy, excellent from you tonight. You great voice, great best voice we had in the back. Insightful. Thanks for your information. And
we'll be hearing from his attorney, but
and again, look, congrats on the 3 votes. Julian Ruggieri wouldn't have given them to you if you didn't deserve them. So well done for that. And thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Anytime, more than welcome. And that is all from the Pumas podcast for episode 2. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to see you in episode 3.